Was it during those 6 years you got stabbed?
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because there's obviously a good reason why you speak up about knife crime.
I've been stabbed twice in my life, but I've had many knives pulled on me. I've had guns pulled on me. I've had guns shot in my direction.
Aimed at you?
Not aimed at me, but almost hit me.
Close enough.
So look, there's, again, this will sound surreal to people looking, and I'm mindful that there are people that go on, not your podcast, but other podcasts, and try and make themselves look the big man. Oh, this is the life I've lived. Guns, knives, drugs, that's the total opposite to what I would ever want to be perceived as.
And I know that, and I can see that.
But I've lived through a lot. I got involved in a fight where I actually got stabbed in the back of the head. That wasn't actually at my premises. It was another premises. And I don't really want to go into that too much, but I've been stabbed in attempted home invasion.
Talk to me about that.
So,
because that is terrifying.
Yeah, that's one of the worst moments of my life, because at the time, 2015, I had two young children then. I left the pub. I went and got myself a kebab, not particularly healthy. You know, I'm driving home. I'm finishing the kebab on my drive. I get out my car. I've got, the kebab wrapper there, put my key in my door, and I heard running behind me. And I knew, my heart sank. It was always a worry for me. When you run a cash business, you know there are people looking, thinking that you've probably got that in your house. I didn't, which is even more worrying, because what would they have done if they got in? But put the key in the door, heard the running, turned round, 3 masked men running down my drive. And one thing saved me, is that my drive was at an angle like that. So they'd started running, but they couldn't really stop. And I just threw my keys, thinking, my kids, these can't get in. Threw them, turned around, shut my eyes and started swinging. And to be fair, I caught one, I run through the middle, I thought I was away. And then there was a fourth that must have been the driver or whatever. I just walked straight into something, whether it was a bat or a punch. And I sort of woke up on the floor with all around me. But they was trying to drag me to my front door to get me to open my front door. And all I could think is I've thrown the keys, my kids are safe, my wife's not going to open the door. So, they're going to do whatever they're going to do to me. That was terrifying. To be targeted like that in your family home, it's one of the worst moments of my life. But I mean, what would have happened? My wife and 2 young children were there. What would they have done when they didn't get anything? Even if I had money, it certainly weren't going to be in my house.
Was your wife aware what was going on outside?
She could hear, but I'd always told her, never open that door. No. Never open the door. Don't matter what you hear on the other side, never open that door, because once they're in, they're in.
Yeah.
And
how did she take it?
Oh, terribly. My wife's a strong woman, and she's got to be, with what I've put her through a lot over the years. But that really affected me for a few years, looking over my shoulder, who's done this? I was accusing all sorts of people of putting it up. And it was obviously someone that knew me.
Did you ever find out?
We had an inkling, but you can never prove anything like that. But when I think of how it could have been if I hadn't turned round, if I hadn't fought them off, if I hadn't thrown my keys, for kids to go through that, my boy would have been 7 or 8 years of age. And my little girl was like 2 or 3 at the time. Do kids ever recover from that?
No, they don't. And stuff that happens around that age as well. It's like, you go to therapy when you're in your 40s and they tap right back to that moment. Yeah. So it sticks with you, whether you realise it or not. Yeah.
And I think anyone that can go to someone's house to do a crime like that.
Dog.
They're the worst of the worst.
100%. Someone that breaks into your house and steals your belongings, some of them being sentimental, and they're prepared to do God knows whatever if someone's in their way or if they're awake or if somebody returns home. And I'm seeing burglars getting, 18 months, 24 months. Well, it's because he's a drug addict, so he needs rehabilitation. It's like, no, there has to be a line in the sand where you say, okay, you're shoplifting, we can perhaps be a bit lenient there. You've done something silly there. You've lost control there.
No.
The second you break into someone's home, you've got to send a message loud and clear. You're getting 10 years minimum just for entering the property. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And I scare myself to what I think I would do if someone ever got into my house with my children, because I think most men would do what they have to
For sure.
to protect their kids. And again, I would hate to come across as someone that's trying to be a tough guy. I'm not. But I would do anything to protect my children.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't care who you are
Nah.
or what you've done in the past or whatever. You know, if I have to protect my children, I will do. And I think any real man would.
And it's nuts to think that if you come out on top, the chances are you could be the one going to jail protecting your own home with the laws in the UK.
Yeah. But again, I think that all goes out the window with most men. You would do anything that you could to protect your wife and family and kids. But I mean, I've got 2 big Cane Corso dogs now.
They'll do the job.
I've got a big sign on my gates that says beware of large dogs on the loose. And I got them after the home invasion attempt. And I mean, I love my dogs. They're big softies around my kids and that. But I'd hate to be a burglar or someone that even dared try it on.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm at work and I'm not at home, I relax a lot knowing that I've got those 2 lovely dogs.
The dogs have got your back.
Yeah, because they love my kids.
I mean, if we've got this already going on in-house, I don't want to bring it back to, politics and migration, but we have got enough crime and dangerous individuals to deal with of our own.
Yeah.
Let's at least get our own house in check before we start inviting guests.
And I've said this on air many times, say it on Twitter. We have got enough scumbags in this country as it is. We don't need to import more. And when people go, oh, racism, how do you know that they're not? Why are they dumping their IDs? We can do no background checks, none at all. We have no idea who these people are. And then you get the argument. You go, oh, you was happy to see people from Ukraine come over when the war started. They were women and children. They have passports that we can check. Or if there's a problem, if one of those women decides to do something bad in this country, we can cross-check with Ukraine their past, or we know who they are. We do not know. These people that are coming on the dinghies, we don't even know what country they come from because they lie. So there's no way of solving this unless we do mass deportations, because these people are here and they're not going anywhere. So, what will it take? Another terrorist attack or another acid attack? And then you see for a week after, these people go, oh, no, actually, maybe we do need to tighten this up. Then 3 weeks later, you're seeing the same people virtual signalling on Twitter or Instagram again about, letting everyone in.
And the thing is, maybe if they'd have had an experience like you've had.
That was one of the worst nights of my life.
How did you recover from that as a family?
Again, I put loads of security things in place and whatever. At the time I was earning money, I'd have people, security firms follow me home. I lived a very paranoid life for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I can't get into the mind of someone that would enter someone's house.
No, me neither.
They're animals.
Yeah, pigs.
And as you say, we both have known so-called faces over the years or gangsters or whatever like that. None of the people I've ever known would ever do that.
No.
And they're bad people for doing some of the stuff they've done. And I don't make what a lot of these people have done right, but they would never do that.
No. So
Never.
you went and met a gang on one occasion and you went alone.
Yeah.
Was there anything to do with the home invasion?
No.
Can we touch base on that?
I've had many meetings. When you own a bar or nightclub in an area like I was, you get called on meetings or, there was problems that needed to be sorted. If the door was rushed or we had a bad bit of ag the next day, me and my friends would have to maybe go and see people to try and nip it in the bud. It was just a way of life back then. It was quite a violent few years for me. And that was my life for many years. It was too far-fetched to even believe, you know. And when I hear some of these so-called gangsters or ex-gangsters talk on these podcasts, I can just tell they're lying.
Yeah.
And it makes me cringe. People trying to big themselves up, did this, did that. Anything back then which I was involved in where it went wrong and there was violence, or I'm ashamed of, or I wish never happened. There's nothing cool in trying to be the tough guy, and that's what I try and tell my son. You know, around my area, you see the boys with the man bags, and I look even at some of the 20-somethings around my area, walking around in a little firm, got the man bags, got the white turkey teeth now. You know, they look immaculate, some of these. I think, oh, you've got a hard lesson coming your way because you're not about that life. I wasn't about that life. I was just involved because I had the place where everyone went.
Yeah. Do you get many stabbings around your way?
Yeah. Like any area. You know, the youth of today, this is why I try and push this knives down message. I'm never going to change a villain's mind or a gangster's mind about carrying a knife. They've made that choice. That's their way of life. That's their business. But knife crime has become trendy, or carrying a knife has become trendy, whether that's music, films, culture, Instagram that's pushing that, I don't know. But there's a lot of fear out there with youngsters. A lot of 13, 14, 15-year-old boys know that if they go down their high road, there's a good chance that another group of boys are going to tackle them with knives. Have we got there?
Yeah, how are we here?
And that's the thing. The nice group of boys suddenly are carrying knives because they know there's bad groups of boys that have definitely got knives. So now we're in a circle we can't get out of. That's the type of kid that we've got to try and educate. We've got to try and stop carrying knives. Not the bad kids. Once they're gone, they're gone. Now, there's many things I think that help education with knife crime. I would like people to go into schools and not just talk about knives, put them down. You know, have one lesson a term or a year where every school kid is shown what a prison cell is like. Take them to a prison. Show them that cell. If you do that, you could be in there for the rest of your life. I'm telling you, that would scare a lot of wannabe sort of gangsters growing up. Or show them, have families of people that have lost someone. Go in there. You know, the wife or the daughter probably breaking down and crying in front of assembly. That will hit home. Show them pictures of knife wounds. What can happen? Scare them. Educate them. And then I think anyone carrying a knife now or using a knife, I think the prison sentences should be far, far longer than they are. Deter. Stop and search. Let's forget all about this racial profiling and all this woke nonsense. If the police believe someone is carrying a knife, search them.
Not everyone is a fan of the police.
No.
And there's certain parts of policing, certainly the two-tier policing system we see in place now that, I'm by no means a fan whatsoever, but I do know that if my daughter was to get kidnapped, they'd be the first people I call. So you have to sort of bear that in mind. So if I was asked, can you stop and take a search? Personally, I wouldn't question it. I'd say, yeah, cool. And then I'd sort of, they'd know that I'm not a threat, and then we'd have a chat. But I know a lot of people are different. But if it was for the safety of others, and look, we're just trying to prevent knife crime, I'd say, great job, search away.
If you ask certain villains and gangsters about what would happen if there was no police in society, they'd say the same thing. There'd be anarchy.
Cool.
Right? It's all right moaning about the police, but if you want to bring a family up in a democratic country, a safe country, you need police. And we can all moan about certain aspects of policing, as you say, but without the police, there is anarchy.
Even with police, there's anarchy. So just imagine what it would be like.
And that's one thing I'm worried about the next 5 years. Is Labour going to be tough on crime?